Stay tuned for World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. For John and Corey and Storm, all of us, I'm Bill Butel. Have a very good weekend. Thanks for being with us. Good luck and be well.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Tonight, reporting from Moscow.
Good evening. President Reagan is a happier man tonight. It's actually Saturday morning here in Moscow. Mr. Reagan will be coming here on Sunday with a Soviet-American treaty to reduce nuclear weapons that has been approved by the United States Senate. The Intermediate-Range Weapons Treaty that Mr. Reagan and Mr. Gorbachev signed in Washington last fall was approved by the Senate this afternoon. After all the rhetoric which the Senate debate produced, senators have decided overwhelmingly the treaty is a good one. Our first report is from Ann Compton on Capitol Hill.
Members of the Senate gave their consent to the historic treaty with a solid 93-5 vote and a rare show of enthusiasm. Then the leaders relayed the news when President Reagan called from Helsinki.
We're very pleased to be able to give you this in advance of your stepping on the Soviet territory in Moscow.
I want to say that this is a stronger treaty now by virtue of the process in which the Senate and the executive are equal partners in the making of treaties.
Senators consider the treaty stronger not because its text was changed, but because they attached warnings that the meaning of the treaty cannot be reinterpreted by future presidents, and future treaties must leave both sides with generally equal strength. Where this treaty eliminates all intermediate-range missiles and allows each side to inspect for cheating, the more ambitious START treaty now being negotiated would cut in half arsenals of the more threatening long-range missiles. Many in Congress, including the Senate Republican leader, say that is too complex a treaty to negotiate in the final days of the Reagan presidency.
I think we understand it's going to be a much greater job as far as verification is concerned.
The INF documents will be flown to the president in Helsinki tomorrow. Bert and Dole have been invited to join him in Moscow next week. Debate on the treaty was tough, but could get even tougher the next time the Senate is asked for its advice and consent. Ann Compton, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
And so Mr. Reagan will bring the treaty documents to Moscow, and the Soviets will be pleased. They will not be altogether pleased when Mr. Reagan goes out of his way to emphasize the Soviet record on human rights. As we reported last night, Mr. Reagan intends to meet here with Soviet dissidents. ABC's Sam Donaldson is in Helsinki, where earlier today the president was talking about human rights.
President Reagan emerged from a day of isolation here to receive official greetings from Finnish President Koivisto and to deliver a final mood-setting speech for the Moscow summit on human rights. Going to the same hall where the Helsinki Accords of 1975 pledging to uphold human rights were signed, the president tried to strike a balanced tone by saying the Kremlin under Gorbachev has made progress on the subject, but not enough.
Things have happened that all of us applaud. But at the same time, Soviet practice does not, or does not yet, measure up to Soviet commitment.
The president's emphasis on human rights, however carefully balanced, has clearly irritated the Kremlin, which yesterday canceled one of the Reagan-Gorbachev face-to-face meetings that would have fallen between the president's two Moscow events geared to human rights. The 4 meetings remaining will be expanded to make up the lost time, and the president isn't making a fuss over it.
No, we only have 4 meetings at our summit in Washington.
Soviet Jewish dissident support groups lobbied administration officials in Helsinki today to keep the pressure on Moscow, stirring the normally placid Secretary of State Schultz to passionate commitment.
And we really can't see for the life of us why people shouldn't be allowed to live their lives the way they want to live them.
Even individuals were lobbying. Jacques Guillet of Greenwich, Connecticut can't get a visa to go to Leningrad to marry his Russian sweetheart Olga and wants the president to bring it up.
I'd like him to say, Mr. General Secretary, I have a young man in the United States who's been trying to marry one of your citizens for 2 years, and I just think that he should be allowed to do that.
The president's purpose in all this is to encourage Gorbachev to expand human rights while not pushing him so hard that it backfires. And since the president's always been a soft touch for a love story, he might just start with a case of Jacques and Olga. Sam Donaldson, ABC News, Helsinki.
While the president was talking fairly positively about what he said was Soviet progress in the field of human rights, the official Soviet press today has taken a very hard line on what the Soviets say are human rights abuses in the United States. Among other things, they said that 11,000 Americans are in jail based on false accusations. The Soviets cited American Indian activists, Puerto Rican nationalists, and anti-South African demonstrators as examples. Well, given the history of Ronald Reagan and how dramatic it will be for millions of people to see him set foot in Red Square, there would be every reason to expect that Soviet citizens are actively looking forward to his visit. But as best we can tell, it isn't really so. They are not uninterested by any means, but they are much more wrapped up in a series of momentous proposals, which could mean fundamental changes in their lives. Here's our Moscow Bureau Chief, Walter Rogers.
Radio Moscow World Service. Soviet newspapers have carried the guidelines published by the Communist Party's Central Committee for the 19th Party Conference.
Moscow was literally abuzz today over those guidelines, proposals for radical political reform of the Communist Party.
I'm a student, and in class in the evenings we talk about this all the time.
I see it as the last battle, the final battle for democracy. It's a war between the old world and Gorbachev's new political thinking.
The reforms proposed in the Supreme Soviet include limiting terms in office to 10 years, even Mr. Gorbachev's, to prevent an abuse of power, election by secret ballot with genuine competition between candidates within the Communist Party, introduction of legal guarantees for freedom of speech, an increased role for local government with less